Hey, thank you, Chad, so much for our partnership between BIC and the Economic Alliance Houston Port Region. I am Jeremy Osterberger with BIC Alliance and BIC Magazine. Yeah, it's just a blessing and honor to be here today, guys. I really feel like our panel today is an all-star lineup. We got, Verlander, Tucker, Alvarez. Right, we got the whole team here. Of course, we got Altuve on the end there. So thank you, Jose, for being here. No, but the guys up here truly move the needle in our industry, and again, just so happy to be here. We're going to get into a lot of wonderful topics: supply chain, contractor and vendor selection, building relationships with procurement professionals, and more. Hey, as Chad mentioned, we do have that Slido app and hashtag IPF 2022 to submit some questions. So as those come in, I'll do my best to get to them. So let me introduce our panelists. We've got Kent Danforth with S&B. Kent is Senior Vice President and Chief Procurement Officer. We've got Mr. J.J. Barrera of Wood. J.J. is Vice President of Construction and Maintenance at Wood. Charles McManemin from Lake Charles, Louisiana. Charles is with Fluor. He is Vice President of Sales and Business Development for the Chemicals business line. And of course, my buddy Scott Tanley from Turner. Scott is Vice President of Corporate Development for Turner. A lot of people know Scott with his relationship with SMRP Houston and the Rice Global E&C Forum as well. So thank you all, guys, for being here so much. So I want to give our panelists a little bit of time to explain their current roles and responsibilities within their organizations. Hey, Kent, why don't you tell us generally about your company and some of the projects currently underway and perhaps upcoming.
I kind of thought I'd be last since I said on number 5C.
Yeah,
I didn't realize we were going there.
That backfired.
I'm going to stand up.
Look, Scott stepped up and just,
Short guys like to stand up, and I don't like to stand next to Charles. So S&B is a little different company than most. We're privately held. Most of you all know. I saw a lot of faces, and thank God for name tags, because I haven't seen people in a couple of years, and even if I did, I'm so old I wouldn't remember you. So it's good to see folks. Most of you know who we are. Like I said, privately held. We've got 5 or 6 offices across Houston. We're a total turnkey EPC contractor. And I really liked the Freeport LNG when they talked about lump sum, because that's our business. We like lump sum EPC. We do a bunch of cost plus as well, but lump sum is our business. You hold all the control right in your hand. We hire all our craft. Probably 90% of our craft gets hired in the field, and everybody understands your field work is really where you make your money. The field work is really where you live and die in our industry as far as growth is concerned. Safety is key. At S&B, and a couple things that jump out at us. I've met with a lot of owners. A lot of our owners now are bankers instead of your typical clients, because all the new stuff that's coming through with energy transition. And I always give them the 4 fingers, and I tell them we work on safety, we work on quality, we work on delivery, then we work on price, in that order. If you want to flip the order, not interested. If anything that's price driven, where you're going to compromise delivery, quality, or safety, it really doesn't fit into the values of our company. We're not the biggest company. Some of these companies are a little bigger, but we're right in the sweet spot. So that's just a little bit about us, and this is great being here, and it's nice to see everybody. COVID's here, but at least we don't have the mask on. Thank you.
Mr. JJ, I'll go to you next. Whatever you'd like to do, my friend.
J.J. Barrera with Wood Global Engineering, Construction, Consulting Organization. We have significant operations here in the U.S. I have the U.S., what we call U.S. South, so maintenance and construction for Texas, Gulf Coast, from Sabine down through Corpus Christi. Our organization is significant through acquisitions of Mustang and Emick Foster Wheeler. We handle essentially from green to green. So if you want to think about designing something, we can help you through environmental, through all those processes, through the EPC, and then like our group, do the maintenance and construction after maybe the facility is built. industry right now is interesting. Our owners that we're working for, is very price conscious. A lot of the large, significant projects have been delayed over the past couple of years, and so a lot of the focus has been on the small cap, smaller work. So, many, smaller, $1, $2, $3 million projects are going forward, and so that's a good little spot to be in. But again, pricing, we talked about, 3-day on material. That of course affects everybody, and when our customers are asking us, labor is good here, but then once we get into steel, pipe, those components, it is interesting right now. And so, as suppliers, we owe our customers the best deal for quality and safety and price. And so the folks that we work with, we ask to help us through that and recognize where there's issues and bring them up to us so we can bring them to owners, and we partner and get there together.
Mr. Charles, have at it.
All right, I'm going to stay sitting down, buck the system. Us tall guys, our body doesn't hold up as well. So in all seriousness, I'm Charles McManemin. I'm responsible for sales and business development for our chemicals business. I've got a global responsibility, so deal with our teams in all of our office locations, all of our project locations. I was on the car ride over dealing with our teams in China this morning, and we deal with the Middle East and Europe, and then obviously the Gulf Coast. Certainly from a Fluor perspective, I can talk from a chemical side, but Fluor, when people ask me what we do, we are a publicly traded company, which certainly has pros and cons. I think sometimes being on the private side, you got a little more flexibility. So, but we are a large publicly traded company. We do a lot of small projects, mid-size as well as large. When people ask me what we do, I typically say we design and build everything but houses. But then on the hurricane projects a few years ago, we were installing 55,000 trailers in the Gulf Coast. So I typically have to take that one back when I tell people. It does help us. A lot of the industry has been through some challenges the last few years. Many of our clients have had difficult struggles, and that works its way down to the EPC contractors, down to the vendors and everybody. So it's been pretty volatile of late, and so it's nice to start seeing things come back, but there's still some volatility in the marketplace. What has helped Fluor manage through that has been the diversity that we have within the company. So we get involved in the mining and metals space. We got government work, oil and gas, chemicals, also a lot of work around the advanced manufacturing and technology space. All of the chip shortages that have been going on, a lot of the life science work. So from our perspective, the global footprint, the diversity has really helped us manage through the ups and the downturns of the industry. There's been a lot of talk about the energy transition space. We're one of really 3 major technologies when it comes to CO2 capture. We've had this technology. It's nothing new. It's been here for 30 years. It's funny that we're now talking about it a lot more now. But we have that, and we're seeing a lot of other energy transition discussions that we've all been hearing about globally as well. So I'm sure we'll talk about that, but I'll go ahead and hand it over to Scott.
Mr. Tanley, the floor is yours.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to be here. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you to the Economic Alliance for putting us on. This is great. So my responsibilities cross 58 different services for corporate development. That includes sales, marketing, and public affairs. We are headquartered out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and have about 70% of our operations from Pensacola, Florida to Corpus Christi, Texas. But we service all of the major lower 48. We do a little bit of offshore work over the course of our 61 years, which we're celebrating this year, still as a privately held family company. We've touched the Caribbean. We've gone international on a invite from a particular customer, but primarily we're a domestic-based company. We are one of the largest direct hire employers in the Gulf Coast. We average about 20,000 employees per year, and we're all proud of that. So we're founded on a culture of integrity. We have over 1 million square feet of pipe fabrication, 200 acres of heavy modularization that can be shipped by barge or truck, up to 6,000 tons. And you know, the fabric of the company was based on hydrocarbon. That is still the foundation of our business, but as emerging technologies are coming into the market, the ESG movement, we are seeing more and more invites to pull us into those markets. And so we have many projects right now that we're exploring as they take off in terms of renewable diesels and some other types of technologies, blue hydrogens, things of that nature. One of the things that is interesting about the company is how we train our workforce and how we get to the market. And so one of the things that we've done here recently is we've opened up our third state-of-the-art employment and training center here in Pasadena, Texas. And it's really a neat situation to put everything under one roof, take care of the employee, and really deliver a higher predictability and efficiency of getting a workforce to a project. A couple of projects that we have going on. One is that we just wrapped up was the GCGV, that was the ExxonMobil SABIC joint venture. It was a $13 billion investment down in Gregory, Texas. It was comprised of 4 EPC areas. We were the construction arm for 2 of those EPC areas, the infrastructure and the MEG unit. It started up on time. It's making good product. Exxon and SABIC are very happy. We're also about 90% complete on a polypropylene growth project in Baton Rouge with ExxonMobil. We recently received the Global Projects Safety and Execution Excellence Award on that project. We're real happy about that. And that should commission sometime in October or November. But overall, it's great to be with you this morning. I look forward to getting to a conversation, Jeremy.
Yeah, and Scott, checking out that employment center when the open house a couple months ago, just unbelievable. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at that facility, check it out. Thank you, Scott. So Kent, I'm going back to you. You know, would you give our attendees a short overview of how your procurement department is set up, a little bit about maybe your traditional procurement process?
Sure. Like I said, we're a little different. We're a little smaller than most. I think in the total, we got 250 to 300 people. It's a purchasing, expediting, source inspection, subcontracts. We have our own transportation group now that we started about 10 years ago. There's also facilities and real estate and kind of sprinkled in there. I hope everybody who has any dealings with anybody that works in the procurement arena at S&B is 100% satisfied. I stress it all the time. We talk about EPC work, and I have to keep reminding the owners that the P stands for procurement. You know, it's not just E and C. But at the end of the day, we're a service organization. At the end of the day, we provide a service to make sure goods and services get engineered and make sure goods and services get sent to the site on time. We don't want to lose sight of that. You know, we're not the wheel, we're the spoke. We're a pretty big spoke, but we're still a spoke. And we want to always be somebody who has answers and can deliver for people versus shut off. Silos is a big word at our company. We don't do them. If you're going to work in a silo, you're going to work somewhere else. So we really want to strive for being a team player. I have to admit to you, the pandemic and the work from home thing has kind of thrown us for a little bit of a loop. We're getting ready to roll out a remote work policy. We're kind of late to the game. You have to understand, not all of us, but a lot of us here are old. And this work from home stuff is new. I don't do it very well. But we also have to understand it's not about us. It's about the people who work at the company. Our younger folks, 20, 30, 40-somethings, they do it very well. And you have to trust them. You have to hire people you trust and trust they're going to get the work done. I see everyone shaking their head. I don't do it well, so I get up and drive every day. But we're trying to come back into the future a little bit of work from remotely and things like that. And it does impact our procurement department. But you all know, we text, we email. Email is a kind of a cool thing. I mean, I like that, you know. But we can get from point A to point B with a remote hybrid work policy, and that's where our procurement group is going. And it's kind of working well. So rule number one, hire good people, trust them, give them the tools, and get the heck out of the way and let them do their job. And it seems to have been working for our group.
Thank you, Ken. JJ, tell us about the procurement department and a little bit about your traditional model. Yeah.
Our group is our group's pretty diverse. We have organizations. So the way we're structured is some of the large EPC work, and then like my group specifically is a smaller. So we may have a different set of categories, different set of organizations that we deal with day to day with our customers. So we'll have a couple of different groups, not silos, but so that we can focus on the specific targeted kind of customer and relationship that we need to build. So whether it's us in Freeport that we need to bring in some local folks, maybe some testing, some of those that we don't do, make sure that we have those agreements in place. But then we also, as the great organization, leverage those contracts across the U.S. and hopefully procurement across the globe if we're able to help our customers with global pricing models and bring those across. So depending on how we're focused in that market or in the which type of projects we're working, we'll engage those proper folks and make sure they're on the list. But definitely we're focused to ensure that the vendors and folks we work with, that we partner with, have the same core values. You have to be able to work safe. You have to be able to deliver on time, the right products, work with us because our customers sometimes don't know what they really don't know, and help us help them ensure that the right parts and services are delivered to them, and bring that value. So our group, we have some folks in Freeport, we have some folks here in Katy office, our America's headquarters. And so again, depending on which group and which customer we're focused on, or if we're doing a large EPC, then those will come out. But once you're in our system, you're in our system, and then we course track and make sure that we provide references for those that perform well and help us out and provide those to other groups.
Thank you, JJ. Charles, why don't you tell us a little bit about Fluor's procurement department?
Yeah, so I'm going to start, first of all, by touching on what Kent said on email. I will say this. I've got 3 children, a 16-year-old daughter, which scares the hell out of me, any of you that might have in the same situation. But I downloaded Snapchat, and I've never communicated it with my daughter or her friends as much as I have since I've downloaded that. So I will say this. I'm learning as well. Back to the point of this topic here today. From our procurement organization, to keep it pretty simple, it's primarily 3 main areas. We've got our material management side, our contract management for subcontract supplier side, and then we have what we call our commercial strategies group. And I think the first 2 are pretty self-explanatory. It's a central organization. We've got teams globally. So if you're here in the Houston Ship Channel, deal with our Sugar Land team. But something that's been pretty powerful for us lately has been our commercial strategies team. And so with all of this volatility that we live in the world today, inflation going on, you've got currency fluctuation, we've got clients that are investing $10 billion in one project. They've got a 10% currency swing, that's a $1 billion currency swing in the investment that they're looking to make. So from our commercial strategy side, we have vendors all over the world that we look at. We do make recommendations to clients that say, okay, if you're going to buy this pump, it's better to buy it in Italy right now versus in the UK. It's better to buy it in India maybe than, say, subcontinent Africa. So we do look at our model. We try to look globally, but we also realize that depending on where the project site is located, there's a lot of investment cost and risk that go into logistics. Logistics has been pretty volatile lately. I know we've got procurement specialists on this panel here. Kent in particular can probably tell you, just in the first half of this year, in many of the main components, we've seen volatility from anywhere from a low end of 12% up to 18, 19%. We do see that coming down the second half of this year, probably to the tune of 2 to 4%. And then we do see 23, 24 continuing to go up as far as just inflation, prices, escalation, commodities. We still see growth. So when we talk to our clients with our commercial strategies team, they're getting ready to invest billions of dollars, hundreds of millions or billions of dollars they are very interested in what we believe the market is going to do going forward. So that is a service that we've offered to our clients. It is something that we work with many of you in this room to understand that market, to make sure that we're offering a combined solution to our customers.
So Scott, I know you're a big Snapchatter. We'll get into that in a minute. And if you want to, go ahead. But tell us about Turner's procurement department, if you would.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So having 58 different services under 4 major pillars of operation, being our maintenance and our turnaround, our specialty services, our construction, our heavy equipment, and then our fabrication, it's really kind of mixed. We have corporate operations for procurement sitting in Baton Rouge and sitting in Pasadena or Houston, Texas here. That being stated, we're across 430 sites today. And so we act as an agent on the maintenance side to where we're going to supply and operate in a client-based system. And therefore, we're going to manage the client-based AVL, AML. And so you're going to have to achieve verification and validation as an approved vendor for us to source directly on that paper. When we start looking across the company, we're not risk adverse. Well, we're very risk aware as a privately held company versus risk adverse. We do maintain our fiduciary responsibility, so to jump in directly to EPC work, we're downstream of engineering. So we start at fabrication and take it all the way through maintainability of that facility. So stating that, the procurement is a little bit different in that we're procuring subcontractor from a service standpoint directly onto our paper, and that's probably 15 to 20% at any given time to a project. A high percentage of that work is going to be self-performed direct hire by Turner. Where we do service or supply subcontracting services, it's done on an extensive pre-qualification process. It's to get approved through Turner, and then it'll also be approved back to the EPC, ultimately back to the client project site, and getting an approved AVL, AML. As we go through that, though, we look at many different factors from safety and quality, which are paramount. It's not just about price, it's also about service delivery. We do have some extensive partnerships. We will utilize those partnerships that have proved out good success over time, but anybody's welcome to come and participate with Turner. We'll get into more about how to do that. On the pipe fabrication and module fabrication, it's more of a supply chain on commodity-based type materials. We do have the capability with extensive relationships, international, we can go mill direct. A lot of times our buying power, it'll allow us to accelerate a schedule over some others. And that is an offering that differentiates our capabilities to get to market faster in some cases. It gives us an enhancement on sometimes pricing, but we're supplying steel pipe materials for the most part, and we have an inventory that ranges from $6 million to $8 million on hand at any given time.
Thanks, Scott. Scott, I'm going to actually stick with you. We heard a little bit about the employment center. What are some other areas where you're seeing Turner commit financially?
Well, that's a great point. You know, when you're working and have part of your family 20,000 employees, the reinvestment in those employees through training, advancement, exercising the right tools and equipment, it's critical. And so a vast majority of our spend goes back into our workforce, whether it's developing that workforce or bringing that workforce back into our industry. When you operate 200 acres of modularization, one thing that we did do during COVID is we expanded that with an additional 95 acres of capacity, and so that was a big investment for Turner Industries. It allowed us to pick up an additional 130,000 square feet of fabrication capacity. Up in Decatur, we have a vessel facility, and we spent $8 million building that facility out with some additional capabilities for light and medium gauge steel fabrication, along with doing vessels that are 16 feet in diameter, 200 feet in length. And we continue to expand that facility out today. One of the biggest thing is that when you're looking at efficiencies and how to manage work in the field, innovation has creeped into our business over the years, and we have a dedicated team that continues to reinvest and spend money. It's not IT driven, it's operations driven, supported by IT, but it's really to get innovation of electronic tablets into the field that can be smart in terms of its utilization and help advance the work in terms of safety, quality, efficiency, and cost savings.
Hey, Charles, tell us about a little bit about Fluor's, biggest financial commitments that you're seeing at this time.
Yes, so I think similar to my colleagues on this panel, we're in the people business, so certainly people is our number one investment. With all of the volatility that we talked about earlier, you've seen a lot of, it's kind of like the mid-'80s, right? A lot of people are leaving the industry, and we're now coming out of that cycle, and we need people to come back. So really investing in people and talent. We've invested in training craft workers as well. We do have a self-perform group, welding centers. We invest in local communities, trade schools, tech schools, colleges such as this. But if I look at it from a kind of a long-term investment as well, we're the only EPC company that has a exclusive partnership with IBM Watson. So we've looked at a lot of these projects globally. With all of the escalation that we've seen, that we've talked about, with a lot of the price changes, with a lot of the impacts to just getting work done based on all of the intricate details that we get involved with on many of our projects. We have partnered with IBM through Watson, many of you probably are aware of that program and with the medical field and with other industries. But we've seen that it also gives us one more layer that we can bring to our clients to say, okay, if we don't make this decision at this point in time, we're going to run into potential risks later on down the road in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever. So that's been a big investment from an IT and an IP standpoint. And that's something that it's a learning system too. So every project that we do feeds into that system, and it grows and it gets smarter and it's smarter. We have a similar program on our procurement side, basically the same concept as well. So.
And JJ, I know through BIC Magazine and some of the content we've ran for you guys, we've seen some investment in technology from Wood. But go ahead, talk a little bit about where you're seeing some resources dedicated.
Thanks. There's a significant investment in our resources. For us, people like the rest of the panel, people are our business. Locally in Freeport, and we treat each area we're working in. We look at what can we do in that specific area. How do we help out? And I'll speak on Freeport. I'm mostly down there. We've invested heavily in the Bradsport College, in the programs in the high school. And so we donate, we help, we provide opportunities. We're very proud of our signing day events that we hold down there. We bring kids from high school. We help them through some high school programs. So if they want to be a welder or electrician, we help them go through the training certifications around that. And then we give them opportunities to come work directly for us right out of high school. And so we really partner with our owners, our clients locally to give them opportunities to come in. But really, it's a significant focus on them. That workforce has to be there. Those folks need an opportunity. Our kids, many of us have pushed our kids to go to college and go do these things, and we haven't explained to them, you can have a pretty good life being a welder, pipe fitter, electrician, plumber, and have those conversations, and those, right out of high school with a couple of certifications, they can be better off than a 21-year-old coming right out of college, or 22-year-old, or 26-year-old coming out of college with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and be very productive, be very a good contributor to society. And so we focus on that. We promote that. Our folks have come up through the trades. Many of them have, and we significantly promote that. And then also with the newer technologies. So we also with the school down here in Freeport, we donated to the solar car challenge. We donated and helped them and with their solar car. They're up in Dallas this weekend, going to put that on trial and race against other solar vehicles. And so we're proud of that group and being a part of that group. It's really cool that we're not just working on trades, but also other technologies. And then taking that into mobile devices, like we all need to be, whether it's a mobile device for training. We have our ERC app, so our employees can look and see, okay, where do I stand on our training for the year, knock out some of those. Or maybe it's a survey. We want to engage our employees and ask them, how are we doing? How is management doing? How do you feel? things are going on in the field. And so they can directly do a survey from their phones, not have to turn in a piece of paper to me or their supervisors, and it goes direct into the system. So we've had very good success engaging our workforce and really asking them how are things going and getting that feedback directly, and that works really well. Other areas we're investing in are heads-up displays, those things. How do we make those work in our customer environments? Which one of our customers are going to allow us to bring those? We're remote. We're working teams. Everybody's on Teams meetings nowadays. Well, there's heads-up displays. A Class 1 Div 1 devices you mount on a hard hat, and I can be in the field walking down a project on a Teams meeting, and everybody on Teams can see what I'm seeing, and it's really cool stuff. To autonomous operations, essentially robots that are out in the field. How do we help inspect assets in the field and provide data back to our owners about assets that are maybe extremely remote, and we don't need to put an operator, but here's a robot going out doing those inspections, and maybe it's methane capture. Are we doing the right inspections there? Recognizing vibrations through listening, and so really diving off into that and helping our customers deploy those and leverage how to make those work in the field.
Thanks, JJ. And Kent, any further comments on
I was
SMB?
hoping you'd ask me because
Yeah.
I had all these good ideas coming.
And then, yeah.
So it's people it's basically investing in people and technology. The technology part is right here for me. Remember I told you I was old, so we got to have young, smart people help us with our technology. But people's the easy part for some. As we know, with the social dynamics we've had, is being from home and some of the younger folks playing with their phones, the social part goes away. So we're really trying to get out to all our folks and talk to them. Make sure we can talk about remote work. Make sure we put them in the right part of town to work on projects. I don't think with $5 gas anyone wants to drive 114 miles round trip every day. Some people do it. I'm one. So we're trying to do some of that stuff. Investment. We're a little smaller, but show of hands. How many people went to the rodeo this year? Lots of folks. Well, S&B is a sponsor of the rodeo in a couple different ways, but our big investment is what we call the industrial craft competition. Anybody familiar with the industrial craft competition? Turn it down there, you guys are helping out too. So what we found out at the rodeo is you go to the rodeo and you see horses and cows and pigs and ducks and all these kids from A&M that...
Hey, Kent, I see fried Oreos.
Yeah, see, I threw that A&M out there because that always gets a whoop. I live near A&M, I didn't go there. So what we determined was our owners wanted to start an industrial craft competition. We have high schools. We've gone after high schools, 20 last year, who provided product. It's a skid that has welding, piping. We're getting them in the supply chain, the stuff that we all do at the rodeo, because that's really all these kids that go to A&M, they come back and whoop. They all come back and they work in our industry. So we've really invested heavily into the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo Industrial Craft Competition. And anybody here has any interest in helping, a lot of you folks out there, we have mentors that go to all these high schools that help them with safety, that help them with their welding. I'm a welder. I started off welding in the marine industry. That's kind of an investment for us. We've hit the sweet spot with the high schools, and we had 22 kids, I call them kids, high school kids graduate, went through our training center over at in the Baytown area, and they didn't miss one class, and 21 of them passed their welding test after going through the training, and the one who didn't had a family emergency and just didn't take the test. So we've determined that high schools are where we're going after. And somebody talked about college. College is great. College is great. College is expensive. Not everybody can afford that. So we're trying to get people in the trades, which is what we're all in, to help out. So if you have any interest in industrial craft competition, please come see me and I can help you out. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Kent. I'm going to direct some questions kind of individually, guys, for a second here. Kent, I'm actually going to stay with you. Let's get into supply chain a little bit. So what are the hardest and most difficult products or services to source right now, or just kind of do you have a general comment about supply chain challenges within, S&B?
Yeah, we understand that we have supply chain challenges, and we have a lot of experts that have a lot of companies that know everything they know, and they're going to be the experts. Anybody know what the price of oil is this morning? What is it? 94? The experts said it was supposed to be $52. These are people who do this for a living. Well, they missed it by a little bit. Well, they're finding the same thing with steel and pipe and copper and you name anything. So our supply chain is kind of upside down on price. Delivery is king. We really try at S&B to go U.S. based as much as we can, because when all those ships were stuck out in Long Beach, I didn't have anything out there. Thank God, right? Some of these bigger companies do, because they're global. They have to. You have to do it. So anything you buy global, you're really taking. You don't sleep as well at night as some people who buy local. But you have no choice because of what you have to buy. I think getting early involvement is key. The hard part with early involvement usually means early money. And not everybody has early money. It's all relationship based, and I was talking to Dean here earlier about relationships. You got to have relationships with your suppliers. If I could do pipe and steel, I wouldn't need suppliers. If I made chips, I wouldn't need suppliers. We all need you. We really do. So we rely on your supply chain as well. So it's early involvement in communication, and it is real. You're getting stuff with 2 and 3 day validity periods. There's not much you can do with it. All you can do is be honest and try to do the best you can with it. But getting ahead of it, getting it there early is the key for us. Easier said than done, though.
Thank you, Kent. And also, I'm an LSU grad, so I'm putting a moratorium on any more whoops. We're done. All right. Hey.
Go Tigers.
Yeah, I love it. We can all say it together. Just say it together. Hey, JJ, I'm going to change the question a little bit for you. Continue with supply chain. We've been forced. Has Wood been forced to look outside of preferred or existing vendors to satisfy needs during some of the supply chain crunches?
We have. We continuously have to look at the suppliers, look at what they have in inventory, and sometimes we'll go and ask for some parts and pieces, and it's not there, and it's through just shipping, logistics issues, and so we often have to go and price and ask multiple providers, and sometimes folks aren't in our list yet, and so we got to go dig and look for those that have those parts and pieces in stock, and set up agreements with them. So that's always part of the delivery.
I think that's a good question. Anyone else want to comment on that? Maybe Charles? Yeah.
Well, I think the only thing I'll add, I agree both with Kent and JJ here. I think there's a good thing coming to the United States. So all of the chaos with COVID in China that's been going on, all of the chaos that's been going on in Europe with Russia, we are seeing clients that we're building projects for in China right now that we were going to do a duplicate project in a different city. They've now put the brakes on and said, time out. Too volatile for me, I'm building that plant in the United States. So we're going to start seeing that. I'm on the chemical side, so I know we probably have some in the refining downstream side and other industries. Chemicals is in where there's cheap feedstock prices or where the end product's going. The end product's going to China. 50% of world petrochemical products are going to be going there, okay? You've got some that's going to be going to Europe, but you've got cheap gas in the United States. We talked about with Mark and Freeport LNG. They're sending gas globally. A lot of that's going to go into petrochemical projects here in the United States, and then you're going to see it in the Middle East as well. That's another cheap feedstock location. So I think it's a good thing for the United States. Tuesday was the first time that the euro is now below. Well, first time since 2002. It's less than 1-to-1 euro to dollar. The dollar is strengthening. All of this policy stuff that's going on. There's a lot of bad stuff going, but then the one good aspect is the dollar is strengthening. It's going to make more sense for a lot of products to be bought and used from the United States.
Cool. Hey guys, I'm going to go to the audience question. We got my buddy Chris from Braun Intertech asking a good one. Look, does the renaissance of the renewables industry, this ESG movement, which you mentioned, Scott, does it change your focus? Traditionally, I'll just stick with the procurement model, and anyone who wants to take that.
Well, I'll start with it. It changes it a little bit, and it kind of plays into the theme that you've been hearing here, and it is we're seeing more domestic sourcing to mitigate some of the geopolitical risk, the pandemic risk, supply chain. Ultimately, when you start building things international, you have to figure out a way to get it here. And there is a demand schedule that has an accumulative impact if it doesn't show up on time to the bulk of the spend, and that is in the construction. So if you look at any project and the bulk of the expenditure to build something is going to be on the construction, when you don't have a reactor, a module, some critical component show up on time, it does have an accumulative impact, and therefore the investment has concern across the board, and some of it's mitigated. So as we're seeing things to come back more domestic, we're seeing more reinvestment in terms of sourcing. The relationships that we have with partners here on the commodity supply chain are absolutely critical. We do have subcontractors, and relationships are important because their success will be our success, and it's ultimately our commitment that's forward-facing or forward-leaning into that client or project. So the selection of that is absolutely critical, but we're seeing more domestic sourcing now. And so that's driven by the renewables.
Hey, thanks, guys. And we really only have about 5 minutes left. I want to dig into, for our audience here, I want to know from each of you real quick, what are those top reasons successful contractors have built relationships with your organizations? What really matters? And I'll go to Charles with that question.
Yeah, I think it's like anything else. Communication is key. We've got clients that come to us for, millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, on an investment. And when you get something that complex, there's a lot of moving parts. And so bad news doesn't get better with time. So there's going to be good things that are going to happen, some bad things that are going to happen along the way. And the important part for us with our suppliers, with our clients, is to make sure those communication channels are there. If something happens and it's out of your control or in your control, and there's just a disruption that's going to occur or a problem that occurs, making sure that our teams can come together and have those conversations to understand the issue, allow us to help you, and in turn, you help us help our clients, I think is important. So it's basic. There's nothing earth-shattering about what I just said, but communication early, communication often, Snapchat, email, whatever it takes. But in all seriousness, that's critical to us.
JJ, I'll go to you if you could respond to that question.
No, exact same. It's communication. How do we work well together? How do we identify what pitfalls are going to come out in front of us, and we avoid those together, and that's just key. That's key.
Ken, any last words?
It's real simple for us. It's delivery. Don't overpromise something you can't do. No matter how badly you want the job, we do it on our end. Our clients want it on a certain time, and if we can't perform it, you got to tell them you can't do it. That's not what you're about. This is what you can do, because when you don't deliver, it just streamlines all the way down the line. Delivery is key for us. Remember what I told you, right? Safety, quality, delivery, cost. The cost wasn't on the top. We pick people who can deliver for us.
Scott, I'll let you make some comments as well on that.
I think that's really important in terms of that order, and that's how we kind of let off the conversation in terms, it's not always about price, it's about that commitment, and it's about that integrity. When you sum things up right now, the market has some headwinds that we're all monitoring. We're trying to figure out, when do we get relief? When do we have some additional certainty that's going to come into the market? When do we mitigate this pricing validity that's greater than 1 or 3 days? When that starts to have some assurances that are put back into the market, I think that we're going to see a lot of investment. I think there's a lot of pent-up investment right now waiting on trying to get the fog out of the way. And it's going to be a good opportunity for all of us to work together. So I just invite you, if you have an interest in Turner, please reach out. The best way to source your services to us is reach out through our website and make sure it's something that we are doing. And we would invite you to come and talk to Turner. So thank you.
Hey, well, thanks everyone for submitting questions. Only got to a few of them. Apologize for not getting through all of them. We could do this another 5 hours. I'm kidding. But hey, we needed to move the program along. Chad's giving me the hook. I do want to thank all of our panelists, Scott, Charles, JJ, Kent. Let's give these guys a round of applause, please. And I also did want to recognize a few people. Clay Scott, who was on our team, of course, Chad, Jana Stafford, who works for BIC as well, and other members of the Economic Alliance Houston Port Region team. Clay's not here. He's in Calgary apparently working, but he did comment on the great weather up there. So, hey, folks, thank you all so much for your time. Had a blast. And Chad?
Good deal. One more round of applause for these guys.
Hey, Mr. Davis.